Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Gray Area. I consider this one to be a special interview as I got to interview somebody who I really do admire and that I was just very happy to be able to sit down with and record a conversation with and get to record his story and his perspective on things. I interviewed Frank Galante, who people may not know, but I'm glad that people are going to be able to get to know him a little bit with this. And I'll let the interview do the talking, but just the only thing is that I almost wish we went on for longer because he's one of those people that could keep telling stories and that could just have your jaw dropping with some of his stories. But nonetheless, I thought we got a great interview here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were to do a part 2 in the future. But for now, enjoy episode 3 with Frank Galante. So, Frank, the reason why I'm having you on, as I was saying to you, is I think that you have quite the perspective on life in general, and there's a lot of different things that we've discussed. You have so many different stories. I find your life to be very inspirational, and I'll give a little bit of context right off the bat of how we met, and then really what kind of amazed me right from the bat. So we met, I was working at a physical therapy clinic as an aide there. And Frank was one of the patients, which you told me before, but just want to confirm on the podcast. You're cool with me talking about?
Yes.
We don't need the HIPAA lawyers freaking out.
Not at all. I gave you full permission.
Thank you. So I bring that up because Frank was one of the patients, and when you see this guy walk in, you would think maybe he has like a sprained pinky or something. I mean, you come in full energy, polished, just
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, but just a great spirit about you. So much. You're ready to tell stories. You're ready to hang out with everybody working there. And as I'm getting to know you, I'm realizing, oh my goodness, this guy has a lot going on. So as we've talked about all of those things, which I know there is a long list, your perspective on it really has amazed me. And I would just want to ask you about how you have been able to keep your spirit up, and if you can get a little bit into talking about the different things you've gone through with all the surgeries, the joint replacements, the whole list of health issues, but how you're still kicking it like this.
The way I look at it is that there are people way worse than I am and have way bigger issues. The way I look at it, you get down for the moment, they tell you you're putting a new knee and a new hip, a new shoulder, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's tough on you because you're going, wow, they're taking a body part away from me. You kind of feel strange about that whole thing and how you can react. But the first thing I had to ever replace was a shoulder. Prior to that, I had many surgeries, 5. The shoulder went, they took it out, and I created a bad infection. And the infection, they had to take the shoulder out, put a spacer in. For 9 months, I had just a spacer. I couldn't move my arm only from the elbow. I couldn't move the shoulder for 9 months. So for 9 months, I couldn't drive a car. And during that time, I got the kidney disease kicked in, and it's called minimal change. And from there, from that creation, there was 3 other extra surgeries for my shoulder. So I had 9 shoulder surgeries on the right, and then they had to replace the left. So from there, I looked at it as this way, that I'm living, I'm okay, it'll heal. I mean, I'm not the same, I can't throw things, I can't do things, but I'm okay with it. And just get up every morning and just do the best I can.
So right from the get-go, you felt like you had that perspective, or do you think that developed over time with more and more ailments?
Well, I think when I was younger, I was 30 years old, I had tuberculosis, TB, and right at that I was having one of my children being born. So that was a hard perspective at that time because I wasn't sure if I had to be isolated. Fortunately or unfortunately, the TB went through the lungs, damaged them, and lodged in my intestines. So from there, it was a little different treatment. They had to treat me for it, but not the same as you treat your lungs. So they had to treat my intestinal tract. But that led to a lot of problems. The good thing was I wasn't contagious. I just was a carrier. So from that point on, when I spent a year at home, I kind of realized that you got to bounce back. You can't be playing on yourself, feeling sorry for yourself. So I never really feel sorry for myself. I might get down for the day, but I know I'm going to pick myself up the next day.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, in those 9 months when you couldn't even lift your shoulder, how discouraging was it though? Like, I can't drive. I'm sure there were other different things.
I couldn't wash my hair with two hands.
Yeah.
Couldn't shave. It was impossible to shave. I couldn't shave lefty, so I was using just a buzzer, going to the barber shop, getting a shave. But during that time, the kidneys were the big issues because I got very bloated from it. I was on heavy dosage of medications. I went to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, lived there 8 months, sleeping at my son's apartment, and going to the Mayo Clinic to make sure that they could get this under control. Because here they weren't putting it under control. So I kept on getting relapses. So I kind of looked at it as, you know what, I'm going to fight through this and be positive. And I did.
And for context, we are both from New York, so
Yes.
You're talking about in New York, they didn't have the resources at the time.
They had the resources. I guess I didn't choose the right doctors at that point.
Yeah.
They weren't putting a handle on it. I wasn't confident. And I just felt the Mayo Clinic was one of the best in the country to deal with kidney issues. So I decided to go there. Plus the weather was warm. Here it was cold.
Yeah.
I was sickly and I couldn't handle the cold. There it was much warmer and nicer to live.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's harder to deal with all of that as is, but then when you have the tough winters at the same time, I mean, now you could probably refer anybody to any doctor across the country. Yeah. So how it affected travel. We're going to get into different pieces of this, but you have told me quite a bit of business stories, and I'm going to ask you specifically about making that business as well, but you've told me that traveling, and you've traveled around the world at this point, has become difficult because of all of these joint replacements, but it's kind of become a point of laughter.
It's a funny point, because when I go through, customs and I go through, the security, of course, I glow. They put me through the machine. I can't go through the square machine, the radar X-ray. I have to go through the round one. And when I put my hands up, it triggers off both shoulders, both hips, both knee replacements, and I have a Inspire implant for sleep apnea. So it kind of looks strange with all these things in you.
Yeah.
So they wand me down, and they usually pull me to the side, and they ask a lot of questions. But I have a card saying what that insert is, because the insert it looks like a remote. It could be an explosive in their mind. In my mind, they know it's not. And I got a little remote with it, which I never show them, because that looks like a trigger. So I'm very careful where I put that in my bag.
Wow.
I don't keep that in my purse. I make sure it's in my backpack. And I will note, I never check my luggage because a lot of medications, and I don't feel safe checking them. So I always carry on.
Yeah, you can't risk it with all that. But you mentioned to me too, so you said it's both shoulders, both hips, both knees. Have you ever had, I don't know if it's probably not TSA in these other countries, it's whatever they're called, but that type of department, have you had them just completely bewildered?
In China, when I went to China on a business trip, at that point, they were at that point I had no replacement parts, but I had my sleep apnea machine with me. And they stopped me at the airport, and they gave me more than the once over. It was incredible. I would be leery to go there now with all my body parts. I would be a little afraid of any security company, except I go to Italy a lot. And the Italians have a different concept. It's all about, the coffee, the dessert, and the food. They're not worried about they know what it is. So most countries will see they know exactly what it is I'm carrying.
That's good, and the card can also explain to them.
The card helps you, because I haven't shown all the replacements.
Yeah, that's good. Well, with all that, I do want to ask you about the business, like how it started. It's a little bit of a transition, but first, if you can explain what the business is, the technology, to someone like me who doesn't really understand all the technology. But then after that, I want to ask you a little bit about the environmental aspect of it.
Okay. Right now, I'm involved with hydrocarbon refrigerants. I own 2 patents on 2 formulas for hydrocarbon refrigerants that can replace any current refrigerant, way less energy use, it removes the moisture, way better for your equipment because now it's all natural. So if there was a leak, of the current refrigerants is poisonous. If mine leaks out, it goes in the atmosphere, it goes back into the ground, and that's where it came out of the ground. It's natural gas we use. Mm-hmm. But it's not one natural gas. Some of the farmers use 3, some use 2. But the refrigerant part of it, I got intrigued. I was at a meeting on financing about probably 2008, and the table next to me was talking about it, and I could see the guy explaining it. The investor wasn't interested, so I kind of grabbed a hold of him, took notes, listened to them, and took his business card and called him, and that's how the transaction started.
And then you guys became partners?
We became partners. I bought the company out. It was in Idaho. I went to Idaho with this person and bought the rights to it.
Wow.
So, and then from there, we built the plant in Idaho, which it was just a platform to make sure the formula worked and our concept worked. And I've been now with the formula trying to sell for the last few years. The problem I have is that major refrigerant companies are not looking to buy a formula from a single person. But there is ongoing information about it. There's ongoing people looking at it, so I'm confident I will sell it.
Well, do any of those companies really care about the sustainable aspect of it?
I believe they don't.
Yeah.
I think they only care about how much profits they put in there. Man.
Yeah. I mean, last time we spent time together, and I want to ask you about really what influenced you to go with the environmental route, but before I do, I'll mention last time we were spending time together, you mentioned to me that you were in a meeting and a guy said to you, I don't care about all the green out there, I care about the green in my pocket.
I went to a meeting in Manhattan to talk about nanotechnology and hydrocarbon refrigerants with a CEO or CFO or COO, I'm not sure. And I explained about how green and what it does, and he turned around and he said, I don't care about the green concept, I care about green money.
Yeah.
And that's it. He goes, go to a PTA meeting and sell it to my wife. Mm-hmm. And then I realized I was almost wasting my time with most people. You know, we don't care about it, the environment. We just don't, people. You can see right around us. You know, look at all the garbage waste, all the junk mail you get still. That was supposed to be outlawed 20 years ago.
Totally, yeah.
And you're still getting junk mail. You know, all these advertisements, it's a waste. Yeah, I understand for certain age groups you still need some hard mail. But most people go online, pay their bills, they're not worried about a letter coming, they have to pay a bill.
Yeah, and that's just one piece of so much waste that's happening.
Waste in this country. Yeah.
But what influenced you in the first place? What got you inspired? Was it travel? Was it seeing around the world? What was it?
No, probably got started when I was younger. I worked for a landscaper in college, and I realized he said take all the cuttings and all the shrubbery and make a plant it back in the ground as a fertilizer. And he said that's the best thing for your property. He cut most of the lawns and let the clippings go in and then just left them. He said it's the best fertilizer there is. So first I thought he was just being lazy, not wanting to pick it up and burying it. Then I realized he was actually right. From there I started to realize that, and even when I was young, when I first purchased a home, and I started planting all the waste, the orange peels, lemon peels, chicken bones, whatever it may be, I was burying it in the ground, saying, you know what, it's probably good for the soil. Eggshells, and I've always continued doing that. Unfortunately, I live in an apartment building, and I can't do that nowadays, so you have to dispose of it.
Yeah, I find there's so few places that you can really do composting properly, but I got inspired by the same way, maybe some other stories as well, but I find when you're in an environment like that, landscaping or farming, and you're seeing all the sustainability, how much you can really reuse, you're like, wow, nature is really fueling itself. But then when you go back in the city, back in the suburbs, and everything ends up in a plastic garbage, it really opens your eyes to it.
Some of these major stores are just, recycling, but they take 90% of it and they're selling it to other countries as fuel, and if half of them throw it in the ocean.
Wow.
1 billion plastic bags a year go into the ocean.
Wow.
Just in certain countries that are in South and Central America. So think about the waste.
Yeah, you said Brazil has a lot, right?
A tremendous amount of waste.
Wow.
Venezuela. The environment by a lot of these countries is not considered like we are here. And there are countries that are way ahead of us about it. The UK, Germany, Italy, they really spend time cleaning the environment. New Zealand, Australia, they care about their lands. We don't care about our land here.
It should just be such a natural human instinct. It shouldn't be like people think of it as this soft subject. Really, you care about the environment, like that guy in the meeting. It should be disheartening to all of us. We should all care, and it's really not that difficult.
I see it right around me all the
Yeah.
time. People just throw things out the window, not recycling. I don't use a water bottle once. I refill it back 2 or 3 times. I do realize the plastic will break down at a certain point, but you don't need to each time get a new, a new bottle. It's just a waste of. It's really a waste for the ecology. People think you're being cheap with the dollars. No, you're not. You buy these bottles of water from Trader Joe's at 17 cents. You can't get less than that.
Yeah.
So it's just about not wasting too much of the plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is the case that if we all just do a little bit, it's not a matter of telling people, hey, go start a whole compost bin in your house necessarily.
It's impossible.
But just being a little bit more mindful of it would make such a huge difference. And I mean, I guess one of the last notes I'll put on this, but it is funny that when we were talking about the guy in the meeting that I only care about the green in my pocket, we were walking out of a bank and I had a paper bag or plastic bottle, I don't remember, and I was like, oh, no, they have a recycling bin right next to the garbage bin. And you're like, over here it probably all ends up in the same place. But once they're done sorting it, and I was like, I'll do what I can. And it said garbage recycling with the lid. I put it in the recycling right there. It all ends up in the same bag.
You feel good, for your conscience, but meanwhile, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't. So
it's just a waste. When we first recycled newspapers, which probably most people don't even know what a newspaper is now, realized that the trucks were using more fuel and wasting more carbon than the paper.
Yeah.
And people didn't read the papers. They read the first cover. Mm-hmm. So the other 50 pages were going in the garbage.
Yeah.
So this is why the mindset has to change in this country.
Exactly. It's a mindset, and it's just paying attention to it. Caring even just a little bit. It's not a...
It's like even the food waste. People buy food, throw so much away.
Yep. Yeah, I was just writing about that. I was thinking... And not even caring about like these full dinner courses we have right in front of us, mindlessly eating through it while scrolling through our phones and moving on to the next thing.
Well, look at all the farmers, all the wasted food that they have to dispose of because we can't figure out the right way to truck it to people that need the food.
Yeah.
There's 420,000 kids a day in New York City that are food deprived.
Wow.
That go to bed every day in fear they won't have a meal tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like our transportation logistics, Amazon is the whole country at this point.
You're telling me when these trucks are going long haul and they come back dead, empty, they can't go by one of these farms and pick up the food? They can. It can be done. Well, maybe the government gives them a voucher, a fuel voucher, or some type of voucher to their taxes, so these truckers feel they're being valued.
Yeah.
Plus, they'd be valued anyway. If you do something good, you feel valued.
Definitely.
So I just don't understand why we have this issue. There's 1.3 million people in New York City. That's all the boroughs, of course, that are food deprived. They shouldn't be.
No.
There should be any child or any person in this country that doesn't have a full 3 meals a day.
Our country is known as the most advanced, best living, and yet we have such crazy inequality.
Are we really that advanced?
If you have the money, yeah.
If we can't take care of our own children.
Agreed. The people that are living the American dream are really living it. It's real,
Absolutely.
but only for a select
very small few.
Yeah.
The rest of us work hard.
Yeah.
Was it the average person is 2 weeks away from bankruptcy if they lose their job?
Wow.
It's some really crazy statistic. I might be exaggerating, but it's like there.
Wow.
Think about how many people that I know that are just hanging on.
Yeah, just paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. Yeah.
Well, I want to also... This is somewhat related, but I know when I asked you about it another time, you mentioned it was mainly because of health. But being vegan for how many years?
18 years.
18
15
years.
15 years very strict. 18 years. But what happened was when I used to work solely from my house on computers, doing different transactions, facilitating a lot of mining work, sand mines, gravel mines, clay mines, marble mines, doing that type of work. So a lot of my work was done research, getting investors, putting them together with the mine owners, and making some kind of transaction, and myself making a fee for it. So I was home most of the time working at a computer, so most of my work was done at night, it was research. When I stepped back into the field and started going out and visiting people, being a vegan is not accepted with most men. They look at you like you're an alien.
Yeah.
I think they're threatened by it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a 42-ounce steak in front of you with a bone sticking out of it, you're not a man. And I think that's a conception that we have to stop in this country, because we don't need to eat all this red meat. It's no good for you.
Yeah.
Plus we're depleting the animal supply. What are we doing? There's so many good foods out there that are non-meats. But fish alone, we should eat, and eat way more vegetables and legumes and things. But we don't push that in this country. We don't.
Yeah.
If you go out with any man, any business meeting, 99% of the time you're eating steak. Period. End of story. It's just the way it is.
And with that, when you were vegan for a long time, I guess even aside from how it affected your physical health, did you feel a difference mentally?
Yeah, I like being a vegan.
Yeah.
It's very hard in the real world to do that. It's not that easy. Restaurants, now there's more and more vegan style restaurants. But back when I was a vegan 30, plus years ago, it was kind of looked down as you were just a weird guy.
Yeah.
End of story. There was no two ways about it. People look at me strange, right? Went on a business meeting and I was stick to it. Most of the menus just didn't have any food on it for it. You'd be getting steamed broccoli, guys were eating fish and steak and looking at you like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I had to, get back into trying to eat meat. And it's unacceptable in most business senses to be a vegan, even a vegetarian.
Yeah, that is a shame. I don't know if I fall into a category per se, but mostly plant-based. And I work out strength training quite a bit, so I need the protein. And there are, like you said, so many plant-based protein sources. You do have, some people have negative experiences with how they feel going vegan. I think you really do have to be very diligent about just eating a variety.
It's not an easy task to take
it's
on.
not. Yeah.
I had to do it for health reasons, medication reasons, to health reasons, so I was forced to do it.
Yeah.
But it was not easy to go out into public and be in society and go out to dinner with friends or business and fit in. You just were strange. They looked at you as like you're a strange person.
Definitely. That's the thing. Like, aside from even logistically figuring out how to eat, which foods you're supposed to eat for your health, then there's that social aspect. And like I said, I'm mostly plant-based. I was at a restaurant with a friend last week, and he invited all of his friends who I've never met before. But everyone's ordering chicken, steak, and then I get like this avocado wrap, definitely got some looks at me, which I'm used to at this point, and I think you and I can relate on just, all right, let them think whatever.
I didn't care.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
I haven't cared. It didn't affect me that way. I just knew that I went out to a meeting in Colorado, and the guy said, I will do all the ordering. He knew I was a vegan, and I had no choice but to eat that steak. Well, I did have a choice. I could have walked from the project, and not been paid, or eat meat and get paid.
Yeah.
I chose to eat the meat. I wound up in a hospital.
Wow.
Because my stomach couldn't digest it, my intestines couldn't pass through it.
Damn.
But there is no choice. I said, I have children at home, and I had to provide. So you do what you have to do.
Wow.
Would I be pushed again into it? Never again. If I decide not to do something, I won't do it.
And fortunately, it has the mentality has progressed with generations. Like, yes, I got some weird looks and always will, but I'm sure way less than what you were
You might have just
experiencing.
get weird looks because you're weird. Not because of the food.
In so many ways, for sure. Like, that's just become a normal thing.
Of course.
But I do. It's definitely the case. You can go to most major cities at this point, and even some small cities will have the vegan options. Fortunately, I do eat fish, so that's like, if I don't have, I can rely on that. But yeah, it is difficult, and it is an unfortunate perception about it, and that shallowness that, like, to be a man, you got to eat steak, and that, I think, extends to so many different philosophies throughout our society.
I also think that's logistically where you live.
Yeah.
There are certain states that it's fine, and in certain states it's not fine.
True, the cultures.
Because there's certain business meetings, it'll be fine. If you're dealing with a certain type of personality, they're not worried about it. I went to a steak dinner with a friend of mine to a steakhouse, maybe 3-4 months ago, I don't remember exactly, and he was very comfortable because the fish, he asked the server, what was the fish? And the guy said I would get the sea bass, and it was absolutely fantastic. And he was comfortable with me doing that. He knows that steak is not my type of food. and I was fine with it. But 35, 40 years ago, that wouldn't have been fine. No one would be that accepting of it.
Yeah, but you also told me little known secret is that they have very good fish at steakhouses.
Steakhouses have the best fish. It's usually very fresh.
Interesting.
They buy very, very few pieces, and they know it's fresh.
Wow.
So I've learned that. I've had steakhouses tell me. I asked one day a steakhouse in New York City, and I said, "What's the best thing on the menu?" He said, "Get the tuna." He goes, "It came in today. It's absolutely great." And
wow.
He goes, "I had it for lunch or whatever, at dinner, and it was great."
Interesting.
So I've kind of learned that steakhouses do have good chicken and good fish.
Did you experience that perspective about eating meat necessarily in other countries as well? That a lot of the men really care about that?
No, I didn't really pick that up. In China, no, and definitely not in Italy. Italy, if you don't eat pasta in Italy, you're in trouble. That's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
Pasta, if you're out with people, that's why I try to steer people to go to an Italian restaurant. They have good steaks usually. And of course, I eat the pasta, and I can stay away from the meat products.
And people say that the gluten there is. Some people with gluten sensitivities here don't feel it there.
I don't know if they built up a tolerance because they eat a lot of pastas. And one thing about in Italy, they're all thin because they don't have preservatives in their foods.
Yeah.
They have, supermarkets there have 6 boxes of cereal because they know Americans will buy it that are living there or doing business there. Most of the food, they don't eat that for breakfast. They don't eat fillers. They don't eat preservatives. They walk to their restaurants. Their cities are built around places where there's fooderies, and so they could walk.
Yeah.
So they don't have to get in the car and drive like here. They're logistically smaller. In Italy, and I've spent a lot of time in business there, you walk to a restaurant at night from your hotel or from where they're living. They're centrally located. Yeah, there are times they drive, but mostly they walk after dinner for 20 minutes to a half hour. They're all thin and in shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess a part of that cultural difference with food is also like you said, our density in the cities. I mean, New York is like an anomaly in the grand scheme of things. The whole Northeast, because out west, it is very spread out.
You'd have no choice.
Yeah, you have to hop
You live in
a
the
car.
boroughs, you don't need a car.
Yeah.
You live in Long Island or New Jersey, you need a car.
Yeah.
It's impossible to survive, Here in Italy, you don't need a car. Their transportation is superior.
Wow.
Their buses, their trains, they just logistically are smarter than we are on travel. But also their cities are built different than we are.
Yeah, they're so much older and were built before the car, too.
Yes, and have way more knowledge of than do. They have more experience in building.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into some of these travel stories and business, and I just want to, how much, this is a little bit of a vague question, but is there anything that comes to mind of how all the travel has made you more open-minded and affected your perspective?
Oh, absolutely. It's made me open-minded people. I'm way more accepting of people now. There years ago, there were people I wouldn't accept because I didn't understand them. Now I've learned to understand people. And I worked with a man, I'd say 25, 27 years ago. And he said, the best way to know a man, or person, is know their religion. If you know their religion, you understand the person. And it's true. If you know what type of religion a man studies or believes in, you basically can understand who that person is and know how to speak with them and how to treat them.
Yeah.
And of course I always try to treat people with respect, but if you know their religion, then you respect them differently. You know their holidays then, you know what to say to them, and you understand who they are. That's important. I think that's the problem in America. We just don't understand each other.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't even wonder about the other person. They just immediately cut them off.
Well, you always want to think that your belief is superior to everybody else's belief, and it's just not. It's just not the way it is. I believe in one thing, you believe in something else. I'm not right or wrong, neither are you. But in this country, we need to put a right or wrong on everything.
Yeah,
from politics
very black and white.
To religion, to people's shades. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is.
Well, my podcast is named The Gray Area.
The Gray Area. There you go. Perfect.
I think people have to think critically. I think that's my main intention. And I'm getting stories like yours on here because you're someone who has lived very out of the box and unconventionally. And as you said before, I mean, if you get to know somebody's religion, you can get to know the person. Then there's people that are very out of the box and that think critically, and for some that can lead to, well, I need some sort of structure, or I can't figure out my value system.
Well,
and
that's fine.
religion, and that is fine. Religion can
fine.
provide that for some people, and other things as well. And then there's other people that are, I'm out of the box and I'm going to deeply explore this. I feel like you at least appear to me as one of those types of people that has said, I'm going to really get to know the world and let that shape who I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do not believe that my beliefs are better than anybody else's or superior. They work for me.
Yeah.
Things work for me will not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa, of course. But I know, like, I love going to Italy because their mindset is we work 9 to 5. Well, they work 9 to 5, but they work 3 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
but enjoy the rest of the day. And I love the lifestyle there because you could go there and 5 o'clock they're ready to have a glass of wine or an espresso, and they're not worried at 9 o'clock at night what happened during the day. They're just not.
Yeah.
They let it go and they move on. We can't do that here.
Yeah, we have a hard time. That's why people keep talking about work-life balance. It's such a buzzword, but people have a hard time achieving that. Like it's very distorted. We don't have like a clear. And it's also, I think, culturally in corporate settings too, bosses expect that you should care about this, that this is your life.
It's not your life. It's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do for a living. It's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
A football player, that's his living. He plays professional football. That's not who he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. And you can't be defined that way. The one thing I learned years ago, I went to Argentina on a business meeting. And I work, and the guy turned to me, and he was Argentinian, but lived in the United States, and he said to me, you have to smell the coffee a little bit. And I looked at him, I had no idea what he meant, and he said, you got to smell the coffee, don't just drink it. Appreciate it. And he said, stop working so hard. You're going to make more money by working less. And then there's a study, and I believe it's called the Sullivan study. It's for coaches, coaching yourself, and it's a lot of insurance guys take it. And instead of trying to work 5 days a week hard selling, they teach you how to work 1 or 2 days selling, and the rest of the days preparing. You have a focus day, you have a relaxed day, and you have days you sell. And the guys that were selling 1 day a week, but they were selling bigger accounts, made the most money. The guys who sold 5 days a week made the least amount of money. So you have to pick and choose that lifestyle. And it's not hard it's very hard to achieve that though. You start out and we're all eager and you want to make a lot of money. But the best way to make a lot of money is understand what you're doing and then enjoy life a little bit and you'll sell better. Some of the best guys I know that make the most money sell most of their whatever they're selling on the golf course. And I first heard that concept. I said, how the hell do you do that? And when they said, out there, they're relaxed, everybody. And I'm not hard selling. I'm just explaining what I do and why I do it. Like he said, my friend, years ago, we're all selling radios. They're the same radio. Why buy from me? Because I make sure that I service them better. I make sure that that radio is there and that I show them every aspect of it. And it's true. Know your products.
Yeah.
You sell better.
And be able to, like when you have that relaxing day and that preparation day, you could be so fully attentive to it rather than what are my numbers. And not that I'm a salesman, but it just makes sense what you're saying.
Everybody's a salesman.
Well, I guess
everybody sells himself
yeah.
somewhere, whether you're a doctor or attorney, selling life insurance. It doesn't matter what you sell.
Yeah, even just to be interviewed for a job, you have to be able to sell yourself.
You sell yourself.
True.
People don't realize that. You're always on. And the problem is that when we're off, we don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
We're on our phones and we're texting and just enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to have a lot more mindfulness and appreciation for the moment, which, like you said, in Italy, they'll have a siesta and really take time to just enjoy the day.
Enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
They enjoy life way better than we do here.
Yeah, and I want to get into you not settling down, like refusing to settle down. And I think it's given you a special mindset. And I will say I actually really appreciate, I reached out to you when I was living in Denver, and I was checking in. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but you asked me what I was planning to do. I told you I'm going to go to grad school, become a therapist. And I just really appreciated you texted me like something encouraging, and you said you already are successful.
I think you are.
Well, thank you. And but something I bring that up, and I really like that perspective because especially, in this area, New York, there's so many good, so many bad, every place. But I think it's hard for people, really everywhere actually, to overlook the materialistic perspective. So I have, whether it be family members or friends, say like, well, yeah, you know what? You're gonna be successful, because success is very tied in with money in most people's minds, and it is important. No
Well, you
overlooking
need money
that.
to live.
For sure.
You don't need excess of money.
Yeah,
You need to enjoy.
enough.
You can't work 20 hours a day and think you're enjoying yourself. You're
Yeah,
not.
definitely. And there's a lot of people doing that, unfortunately. And it's a lot out of need, and for some people it becomes just something they're very obsessed with. But I'm bringing this up because I want to kind of get to see how, you've worked in your own business, so that comes with a lot of times of, sometimes it's a little more stable, sometimes it's very unpredictable, and that can be anxiety inducing, even though you always say don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
But
It's all small.
but somehow, despite that, you're still able to overlook that money is everything, and I think a lot of people can.
Listen, we all go through that phase of life. Probably when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and money was everything. I think once I got sick a few times, I think I realized money wasn't everything. Because when I got sick, you really know who you can count on and who you can't. One of my business partners now, I won't mention his name, we've been doing business for, I'd say, 22 years, 23 years. That he's been paying me weekly, monthly, whatever, sometimes once a month, sometimes twice a month, for, I'd say, 12 years on a handshake. Which anytime he doesn't pay me, there's not a legal thing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew shaking his hand was more important than a piece of paper. Now, I've had 3 partners like that, all handshake. Unfortunately, one passed away, and one we don't do business because they just stopped. But this guy here has been paying me and on a handshake. So there are people out there that understand the value of life. Mm-hmm. The Italians in Italy very much understand that. Yeah, you do a contract because of legalities and family. God forbid someone passes away, you have to know how to, separate the monies. But they do business much because they like you, not because they need you. Here we do business only because we need you.
Yeah, and there's some superficiality that comes with
Yes.
that. Whereas you want to have an authentic connection to the point that you can fully trust who you're working with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to work 12-hour days.
Yeah.
I think 7 hours a day is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my career I worked 4 days a week. I took off Fridays.
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't want to do it. Money wasn't it's important to me, but wasn't going to dictate my life.
Were there any surgeries too, or any moments in the hospital that were really transformative for your mind state? Like, if I can recover from this, I want to live life differently in these ways.
I think 2 times. When I had tuberculosis, TB, it changed me a lot, because when I first was diagnosed, they sent me to a lung doctor, and luckily it wasn't in my lungs, because if it was, I would have to have been isolated. So it happened to lodge in my intestines, which is not that common. And then I realized I lost a lot of weight. I was very sick, home for a year on medication. I realized that life is not about money. Mm-hmm. And then recently, when I had thyroid cancer, I realized that life is way too short to worry about these things.
Yeah.
So I really don't worry about much in life. I just go along. My health is my health. I can't do anything about it, but listen to the doctors, and hopefully they don't steer you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And most of them really do care. I must say that. All my doctors, I hope I can say this, NYU, and I really believe they care. One of my heart doctors, when I got very sick with my kidney issue, I went to see him because my heart was racing, and he called me 3 or 4 times within 2-week span, just out of courtesy to make sure I was okay. And this is a very busy guy in NYU in Manhattan, and you would think he wouldn't care, but he did.
Wow.
And even now, when I need advice, he'll get on the phone and answer me.
Wow.
So I have a lot of faith in him. I don't know if I could say his name, but
yeah, you could. Yeah.
Dr. William Cole of NYU, I think, is one of the best doctors I have ever seen.
Yeah, that's beautiful. He deserves the recognition.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are certain people that's got to be one of them that just does what they're doing because they really care.
I was walking down the street in Manhattan one day, and he happened to recognize me, and I didn't recognize him, and he stopped and came over to me.
Wow.
Most guys, personally, I would have walked by him. Even though I did recognize you, I probably walked by you.
Yeah.
But he did not. He stopped and came over and said hello.
Wow.
So I have a lot of respect for that man.
And, I mean, you're memorable for multiple reasons, but didn't you also tell me that you've had times where the doctors were like, whoa, is this, you got everything going on over here?
I just recently went to a nephrologist, which I see, and I just asked him a question. He goes, well, you're the perfect storm. Everything in your body has, firstly, been replaced, and secondly, it's broke down. He goes, it's such a rare thing to have this, but the good thing is you're on it, so you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
you know, it's not a thing I worry about being okay or not. Yeah, we all want to live, but can't worry about it because that's not going to stop it. So he was like, everything has gone wrong, and from your heart to your kidneys to cancer to joint replacements. So that's a rare thing. Well, from that, he said, you're pretty much going to be okay. Everything now is back to where it should be.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I'm talking about the health stuff a lot, but it really is mind-blowing. I know for you it's such a normal part of your life right now in your perspective, but there are people that go through one of these things, and that is hard enough that really it can knock them down. Have you ever had any moments where you were like, man, this is too much, like this is...
There are days, yes, there are plenty of days, including this weekend, where I just had enough. You know, I'm tired.
Yeah.
My sleep has been bad, but... You know, I get up and I say, you know what? I have a lot to live for. Going on vacation now, so I just want to enjoy it.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Italy, Ireland, Scotland, and England.
That's
so I'm
incredible.
getting to run around a little bit.
But I think that's a huge part of it. I think even though it just sounds simple, I really do think it's a deep thing that for you say, I can't control this, but what I can control is that I can have a lot of fun in this place. I could see this place. I could do all these trips and make my life as great as it can be. That's in my control.
The only thing I can control is myself. And I can't control my health. I can only manage it.
Yeah. You
can't control it. If I'm going to get something, I'm going to get it. I've gone through a heart issue recently, and a couple of I had ablation, I had a couple other things, and a couple of monitors I was wearing. I was like, anything goes with my heart. That was the only thing I was saying. I didn't expect that. The kidneys I wasn't shocked about. I've had other kidney issues and stuff. I wasn't shocked. Cancer didn't shock me. My mom had cancer. My family's had cancer. They didn't shock me. But I must say, when the heart thing came up, I was definitely taken back a little bit.
And how long ago was that? Less than a year, right?
I had a couple of just AFibs, and then I had a couple of conversions, and then that didn't work, and then I just did ablation in February. And I had a very good team out of NYU, and had complete faith in them. So far, I've been great.
That is really good to hear. I mean, you said to me, this might have been the line. I actually mentioned this to you before, but it's worth restating, especially on the podcast. You mentioned to me one time at the clinic, you were telling, really, like, we were brand new at this point. You were telling me about these different ailments that you have, these different experiences, these different surgeries, and then you go, but you know what? If I die, you can ask anybody. I've had such a good life.
I had such a good time.
Yeah.
I have no regrets. I wouldn't change a thing. My work, I never made a lot of money, but had a lot of fun doing it. So that to me is, and I had adventures. I traveled to Argentina on business, and I traveled to Switzerland on business, and China. Most people that haven't had those opportunities or didn't want to take the opportunity. It's in front of everybody. Just take it.
Yeah.
You got to venture out a little bit.
Totally.
When people like my age say they've never been to Europe, I don't understand why. But you have to go through the United States too.
Yeah, you do. It's beautiful.
I owned a building in Idaho, excuse me. I've been all over this country. It's beautiful.
It is.
We don't appreciate what's in our own backyards half the time. We really don't.
And a lot of the time we have a lot of walls around us, and we don't see beyond it. I mean, and nothing wrong with it, but most people have been spending years in a cubicle and then go to the same place, eat at the same place, etc.
Well, I think it's security. People like security.
Yeah.
People like familiarity. I don't.
Yeah, I relate. I
don't
very
like
much relate.
security.
Yeah.
I don't like familiarity. To me, I at least like to try different things.
And I don't know about you. I am not old, but I have found that some people tell me, wow, like college was that many years ago? Time has flown. I don't know about you. I find if I'm doing different things constantly and I'm spontaneous and not in the same exact place every day, it doesn't fly. I feel like if I'm in the same place every day, things kind of blend together in my recollection, and it's almost all like, wow, yeah, that was a year? That flew. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think when you do different things, it seems to be more enjoyable, so the time goes the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Not fast, not slow. I think when you do the same thing, time seems to drag on as boring.
Yeah.
Because you have your lunch at 12:30, and now it's 9 o'clock in the morning. You're looking at that watch. I don't like that. It's not for me.
And for some people, having that schedule, having that familiarity is the best thing, and that's great.
It's great.
Yeah, but I definitely relate. I think there's something really nice about not knowing what to happen, not knowing what's gonna happen. It kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. It keeps you thinking. It's a different part of your brain, and I find it makes me alert and awake.
I think what happens when you're out at business or out anywhere, and you listen to other people's conversations. Listen, don't say a word, and learn. Hear something. Say, wait, I could do that.
Yeah.
Or I can't do that. It's not for me. That's how I got involved in the hydrocarbon refrigerants. I overheard a conversation at a table, and the two people were saying something totally incorrect. So when the one man got up to use the men's room, I corrected the other guy on the mistake he made. And from that, opened up the doors for me, and I happened to buy that company. It was intriguing, it was fun, and I think that's what makes life go around for most people.
And that guy was receptive to it when you...
Yes, because I pointed out the mistake he was making. He didn't accept it then.
Mm-hmm.
He took my business card, went home, researched it, called me up, and I was shocked and said, you were right.
Mm.
And I respect that man for doing that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that wouldn't because of
I
ego.
wouldn't.
Well, that's normal. Is there anything else that comes to mind that is really a pivotal part of your life story that we should discuss?
I think when I started doing business in Italy with a group of guys involved in nanotechnology, that the senior partner there, Corrado, has made a big influence on my life, because that man commanded respect not only from his own family but from everybody in business. When we were walking down the block where he lives in different blocks, store owners coming out, and because we were his guests, giving us, one guy was giving us free ties and shirts and wanted to give us a free suit just because Corrado has all his clothes made there. Wow. Which we didn't accept, of course. I took the tie, it was a beautiful tie, but it just was, that man I think changed my life because he made me see what life should be. And that was an important factor. Yes, he has money, and yes, he works hard, but he enjoys life as hard as he works. He enjoys the whole thing of food and a good glass of wine and a good cup of coffee with his friends, and enjoys his friends. And that man, I think, has taught me more in the 10 years I know him than anything else any college could teach me, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that's life. That's seeing somebody in that type of position who doesn't have... He could be any way he wants at this point.
Do anything he wants, this man.
And could just be money focused. But to have the outlook on life that way, I'm glad that you were able to absorb that, make that your own.
If you're around him, you'd understand it.
Yeah.
There's something about that man that is special. And you don't meet many people that through life. I have another friend, very good friend for 25 years, that kind of person. But Corrado's different. He's senior to me, and he's smart, and he opens up your eyes to life by not saying anything, by doing things.
Yeah.
We walk down the streets in Ostuni, which is a place in Italy, the White City, and there were people, begging, not begging, but, desperate. And he was handing out euros to them, and I was very respectful how he did it. He went and got a pocket full of money, and it was just to hand euros out to people, which I thought that was really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he was seeing it go directly
there, and like he said, what they do is their business. I'm not dictating them, to do that. And I think that was important, that a lot of people give somebody $1 or $2 and dictate it. Don't do that, don't do this. But you know what? If that's what they do with it, that's their choice.
Yeah, that is a very real thing, especially in the cities, because people are like, unfortunately, there's a big mentality that's like, I don't want to give that person money. What if they're faking it, is one perspective, or another perspective is, what if they're going to go use it on drugs or alcohol? And
it's hard call. I understand that, because you feel like you got violated if they spend it. But I don't look at it as I should judge that. I'd like them to buy a piece of food with it.
Yeah.
Than not, But again, I can't dictate that, though, in my opinion.
I do agree, and I think it's even pretty similar to when we're talking about recycling, like the mentality that I'm not going to recycle because what if they don't really do it properly, and I'm not going to vote because what if with a system my vote barely counts, and that herd mentality of everything I'm doing is not significant, so why should I, or it's going to end up going the wrong way, so I'm not even going to try.
Well, you should do it for yourself.
Yeah, at least
for yourself. Do the right thing. I recycle because I know it's a waste, but I still feel good if I do it.
Yeah, and hopefully something good is coming out of it. Yeah.
Well, you got to talk to the big box companies that just don't care.
Yeah, that's a shame. There should probably be these big documentaries seem to expose everything nowadays. So,
but do they really care though?
People care for a week on social media.
People stop using Target for certain reasons. They go right back.
And then exactly after a week, social media, big outburst, and then people go back.
The airlines, the way they charge us now, people pay it. There are places that are charging exorbitant amount of money for food, sandwiches, watermelons.
Yeah, once you're trapped.
You're trapped, but also people. There's a movement in this country where people feel very good about spending a lot of money on something. They feel great about it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Me neither.
I don't understand it, and I never understand it.
I mean, I think even, I don't know, a lot of people, there's obviously like brand logos and names that people really want.
Waste of time.
It is, but
I'll say
it's a
quick
mentality.
story. When I was younger, my grandfather said to me, "How many pairs of sneakers do you have?" I had to pause, had to think. Probably at that point, I said, "I think I have 3." And he said, "It's too many."
Really?
You need one pair of sneakers. When that weighs out, you buy another pair.
Mm-hmm.
And that old mentality was what this country was about. Matter of fact, I had a pair of sneakers, and back then you wore the Converse, lower high Converse. I had a hole in the bottom because you used to stop your bicycle with your foot.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather, instead of buying a new pair, taped the bottom up, but with electrical tape. So I went to put my sneakers on that next morning, and there was electrical tape where the hole was. And of course I cut it off because I would look like a fool.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Why didn't you leave them covered?" And but that generation survived.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care what people thought.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
Which is beautiful. We care what people think.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go out and buy this. You got to go buy that. It's absurd.
And I think also with that mentality, it was, I'm using this for practicality. My feet are covered and protected. End of story. Versus now it's, well, and I do it too. I care about what my shoes look like.
We all do.
We all do, exactly. But it's funny how when you get through these stages of whether it be like, of course you need your basic needs for survival, but once we get more and more and more comfortable, it's like we want more and more and more to it.
Listen, there are people that I know that their children, male and female, have 20 pairs of sneakers. I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
I was out the other day at a store, and this younger man, probably half my age, says to me, "I love that shirt you have." He was with his wife, and I said, he goes, "Can I ask what you got?" I said, "Gap." Mm-hmm. I said, "On sale, I think $25. Right then his wife went online and was ordering it for him. Wow. I started to laugh. I looked at him, I said, I got it at the Gap. I was saying it because, people look at the Gap as not the better stores of going to, Bloomingdale's are here. And he said, "I don't care, it's a great looking shirt."
Good.
And it just was, to me, it's the best compliment I had in years.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just nice looking regardless of the brand.
I bought it for myself. I didn't care what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice color shirt, I have to admit. They have the best T-shirts around. And he went and he was buying them right then and there, right in front of me.
Wow.
And his wife was asking me the different colors, and I said, "I got this one, I got that one."
Wow.
So it was funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Well, I guess, and changing it up again, but are there stories that come to mind of your life that are either just like crazy that you experienced them, or maybe moments where things were so uncertain and so And you just were able to get past them?
Of course. When I ventured out of my norm, what I was doing for a living, I was bored out of my mind, and I've changed careers many times in my life. I first started as a young man working in the rag business. My father owned a rag company in Brooklyn, cutting up old shirts and pants and clothes and making rags out of it. And I have to tell you that I loved it. And the only reason I got out of it and sold it, once he passed away, I just didn't have any fun doing it. But I could say that I've done most things, from selling insurance to real estate to mortgages. It was exciting, and then from there led me into getting into, I said I want to do something a little more dynamic. I got into hydrocarbon refrigerants and the nanotechnology, magnet technology, so I jumped around a little bit and starting to do consulting work for companies. I enjoyed my career. I think it was successful in my mind because I actually enjoyed everything I did. Yeah, there were times when I built a building in Idaho with my partner. I was scared. I never built a building. I had no idea how to build a refrigerant plant. You have to know what you're doing. Fortunately, he was an engineer. He knew what he was doing. But really who helped us the most was the woman who managed it originally. I hired her, and she helped me get this under the way. So that was, to me, exciting. When I went to Italy, got involved in nanotechnology, that was exciting. It started from when I went to Turkey. A friend of mine introduced me to some people that liked my refrigerants. And from there, I got into nanotechnology. So kind of by talking to people and listening to people, opened my career up.
Yeah.
For the last 6 years, I've been pretty sick where I didn't work. And someone just said the other day, "You're going to stay out of work, retired?" I said, no. I think for me, that's who I am. I like working. I enjoy going out, having lunch with colleagues, and having a dinner, having a drink. I enjoy that whole meeting new people, talking about new products. So no, I don't think I will stop working.
Yeah, you want to keep going with that.
Look, I find something else, a new venture. Whatever it may be, maybe I won't. Maybe this is the end of my career with finding new things. But I think if you have an open mind, something will come my way.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to somebody... me personally, I feel like I finally found my clarity, and it also took me trying different things. I think it's important for most people, yeah. What advice would you give to somebody who's young and trying to figure it out?
I think the best thing for anybody's career is experiencing new things. I know you've told me some things you've done, and I don't know if I can mention.
Yeah, of course.
When you said you went to the monks and you went to the Amazon, wherever you went to.
Yeah, the rainforest.
The rainforest. To me, that was something I've never done, but that is exciting to me. And if I turn the clocks back, my generation it wasn't accepted, these opportunities. They weren't there. It just wasn't on the table. No one traveled. Now you guys jump on a plane to go see a friend. I mean, it wasn't for us. We didn't do that. We were Italian guys, lived in Brooklyn, moved to Long Island. That was a big venture for my parents to go from Brooklyn to Long Island. You think they'd conquered the world.
Yeah.
They crossed the bridge. They were impressed. So for me to experience and jump out like that, I think it was the best experience for me. When I went to Argentina with a friend of mine, and he went for business opportunities, he was building a house there. So I went to see his house he was building. It opened my eyes. There's so much out there. And there's so much to do, and we all get stereotyped to do one thing. We must do this. We must work for this company, X, Z, Y, for the rest of your life, and get there and retire. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You have to build your portfolio and hopefully save you money and move on to the right things. But I think the more you experience things, the better person you become.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to try to find a specific direction, build that portfolio, get better at it. But I agree. I think you need to experience multiple things and take chances to see where you...
it's funny you said that. If you become a plumber, that's fine.
Yeah.
Become the best plumber you can. Don't stop at just doing residential. Get into commercial. Get into something different that involves plumbing. Be smart about it. See the different ways of doing it. I see people that start a business and just take it way up the ladder. And I see guys do the same thing, same exact thing their whole life. They make money, but their life is so mundane.
Yeah.
And I think that's what creates problems in marriages and
Me too.
socialization.
Yeah.
That you have to come to the table with something new every day, or say something new, or learn something new. And it's important to continue that. But I think it's hard to do it also. You know, you're going out every day, you're working 10 hours at the same job. It's hard really to stop it.
It is.
You're used to the lifestyle. How do you stop what you're doing and start something new and not sure you're going to make money? Either you're crazy or have a lot of nerve. It's one of those two things.
Yeah, it is. And it could be a blend.
It could be a blend. You have to have a sense of adventure out there. And
You do.
To do those things. You know?
Yeah, and the willingness to take risk. And I totally understand why people stay still, but I do think that, yeah, it does affect when you come home. And you could feel drained from working less hard than another job, but just feeling less stimulated and less attached to it, feeling like I'm just doing this for the sake of doing it.
Well, I think you're right. I think if you do the same thing and it's so routine, you become very tired from doing it.
Yeah.
Because you know each day exactly what you're going to be doing. And I think that is a tough thing to do every day.
Yeah, and I think you're somebody that knows how precious every day is.
Absolutely.
Uncertainty is whether you have the most what feels like stable job or own your own business and don't know how the income's going to be next week. I mean, either way, uncertainty and change is just, it's a part of life.
Keeps you fresh.
Yeah, it does.
You know what? Believe it or not, I enjoy the challenge, ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that challenge keeps me alive, keeps me going.
Yeah.
I would be bored doing the same job all the time.
Yeah.
But that's just me. You know, listen, I have family members who do the same job, and that's great. They enjoyed it. They retired, they loved it, and that's it. To me, they didn't experience life yet.
Yeah, and it seems like you appreciate the tough moments that you've had with business and life in general.
I think it shaped me. I think it helped me develop. You know, being sick a lot, it definitely changed my perspective. You know, when you're home in bed sick for months and years, you look at life much differently than you do if you up and running every day. Yeah. I'm not afraid to take a chance and be down. I'm just not. You know, I'd like to take a chance and be up, but sometimes you're down, and you got to live it. And if you don't live that, no good.
Yeah.
You gotta live it.
And you have lived those low moments, you know. Absolutely. You can handle them.
Listen, you know, people say, oh, how hard is it to get a knee replaced? It hurts. Mm-hmm. You get your knee replaced and you see how they do it. Even knowing what they're doing is tough. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the doctors explained, he goes, we come in here, we're ripping out everything out of your leg. Of course it hurts. Mm-hmm. You know, cutting out your knee, putting in it is painful.
Yeah, and then the amount of rehabilitation and physical therapy you have to do when you're in pain, taking medications where you can barely sleep. I mean, this is what you were going through. And
absolutely.
When I met you, and you were just still like, yeah, what are we doing? Let's go. Let's you know, you were flying. You were filled with energy.
I wouldn't let it really affect me. I'm not saying it doesn't affect me at days. There are days, absolutely, I'm dragging.
Inevitably, yeah.
You can't be up all the time, then there's something wrong with you.
For sure.
I think you need the downtime mentally. Mm-hmm. You even need that little depression to make yourself feel good eventually.
I agree. I think it's almost necessary to experience that. And I think it's not like every single person is bound to experience it, but I think there are a lot that subconsciously maybe need to visit that feeling, face that feeling, and are trying to escape it in any way they can.
I have a very good friend has a bad knee right now. Mm-hmm. I hope he needs a knee replacement not because I don't like him, but I want him to know what I went through.
Yeah.
Because he said, does it hurt? I said, of course it hurts. You know, what hurts the most? The knees, because you have the most pressure on your knees. Yeah. My shoulders didn't hurt that as much because you don't have to move them if you choose not to. But unfortunately, you got to move your knees and your hips. So they hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, hip didn't hurt as much as my knees, but my shoulders hurt the least because you don't have to use them the same.
Yeah, all the pressure.
So, yeah, I think and then I don't understand when people say, I need a new knee or a new hip, I won't do it. Well, why would you live with pain?
Yeah.
And walk sideways and can't move? I don't understand that either.
Yeah, unless you can rehabilitate it in some kind of way. But if you need it,
you need it.
It's not the type of thing you want to procrastinate.
If the cartilage is gone and the knee or the bone on bone is wearing out, it's painful. You need to have it done.
Yeah,
There's no way around it. There's no two ways about it.
For sure. Well, I love that no matter what, you are full of life.
Thank you.
And that you're about to take this amazing trip and you just keep doing it. Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to enjoy life.
Good.
So that's good.
Yeah, and I'm really glad we got to record this.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for sparing the time.